holidays just fine. And hopefully, if you were down in the dumps, feeling those holiday blues, I know I did New Year's Eve. Unfortunately, my wife got the grunt of it. So I'll apologize to my wife for being a total jerk New Year's Eve up until we went out and celebrated. And those who use 988, the new Veterans Crisis Line number, I can't push this enough. I wish it was this easy back when my brother decided to be part of 22 years ago this past Christmas Eve. Matter of fact. I don't even think we had a crisis line back then. But we do now. So I want to thank all of you who have used it. If you were down in the dumps, didn't call 988, I hope you got a hold of your battle buddy, your comrades, your friends, your family to help you through everything. Today, this entire episode is going to be, now where did I put that? Let me bring that up here. I got to take one out. That's why. There it is. Today's episode is dedicated to the entire Burn Pits 360 organization and to all the advocates that helped Burn Pits 360 get the PACT Act passed this past July. If it wasn't for you folks, I wouldn't even have this show. So I want to dedicate this entire episode to you and hope you all had a fantastic Christmas and New Year's. And today's show, we're going to talk with a nonprofit by the name of the Veterans Ranch. And we have J.R. Smith with us. And J.R., welcome to the show. And are you the founder of Veterans Ranch?
One of the three. Thank you very much for having me on here today, and howdy to all your listeners out there, and all of my listeners on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube watching live here as well. It's myself, my wife, and my dad, not necessarily in that order. My wife and I are proud patriots. We're the 99% that support y'all, the 1% that raised your right hand and said, I'll go, send me. And my dad's a Vietnam veteran, United States Navy, 69 to 73.
All right, and I understand your father-in-law is also a veteran. Is that correct?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he was U.S. Army 1955 to 1957. So he was in peacetime, but traveled the world and had a great time, and always shares great stories with us.
Oh yeah, I think every veteran has some good stories. Just need to share them, and because I know you'll admit this because you've been around veterans for quite a while now. We're the most stubborn group you've probably ever met.
I love it. I was a kid with my wife. I say, hey, if I'm a little more salty at 6 than I was at 6 a.m., just know who I was talking to for the day. We're going to have some fun.
Yes. Now, how did the Veterans Ranch come about?
So it's kind of funny. My dad always taught me, first of all, I've been in sales and marketing and whatnot since I was 18. So my dad always taught me to keep a legal pad by the bed in case you get an idea in the middle of the night you'd want to write down. Well, I had a lot of legal pads, went a whole lot of nowhere. This one, I still have the legal pad, has one word chicken scratched on it. It says ranch. Had no idea what that meant. My wife and I are horse people, and we wanted a couple horses, our little slice of Americana, while we were still trying to figure out what to do with veterans. And, Lord works in mysterious ways. Had no clue what that word meant. We're headed to Bass Pro Shops one day. We stop at a Chili's for lunch. Long story short, about 20 Chili's napkins later, because they're only about that big, the ideas for the Veterans Ranch were born. And by December 17th of 2017, so we just celebrated 5 years, we were an official charity. We were kind of like the Tasmanian devil at the beginning, just wanting to go everywhere, talk to everybody, help everybody we could. And, in the 5 years, we've really honed in our message and what we're doing.
All right. And where is your ranch located at?
So we're based in Lakeland, Florida. For anybody that's not familiar with that, it's about halfway between Tampa and Disney World on the I-4 corridor. We travel about 4 or 5 counties in Florida, and we set up weekend clinics So we use other people's horses and facilities right now. We're working on the goal this year, and we're real close, is getting our own piece of dirt, as we call it, in 2023. We're real close. We're working with some state representatives to help make that happen. And so pay attention for some really big announcements coming out soon. We also do the same thing in Texas, and again, expanding as fast as we can nationwide.
All right. And when you were in that restaurant writing down on napkins, what was going through your head at that time?
Honestly, I couldn't believe it was happening. I mean, that's why I always say it's a good Lord horse that put this together, because I've had some humdinger ideas, but I mean, just ideas were flowing like water. I'm like, man, this is really cool. But then it was kind of like, you know, I'll date myself as a Gen Xer. It was kind of like playing Tetris. You know, it's like, no, this piece has to go with this piece, because you take two crappy ideas and put it together and make a good idea out of it. And, you know, so it was just like, man, this is really cool. This is really cool. Writing all this stuff down. And, you know, my wife and I are super excited. We're like, okay, is there anything else? We started repeating ourselves on ideas. So then, you know, we go to Bass Pro, because I am that guy you can drop off at open and pick up at close and never be bored.
Oh,
and so it was just amazing what direction, you know, when it's right. You know, if you ever done anything out there and you're not feeling like you're pushing the rope uphill, you just know it's the right thing in the right direction. And again, you know, we had some tough times, you know, COVID. I think everybody's nonprofit took a little bit of a hit, you know, especially when you have to travel the way we had to travel. But I tell you, it's been a great experience, and we get enlightened and blessed by meeting and talking with more veterans every day.
Oh, man, that is fantastic. Now, I'm petrified of horses, so
we can fix that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Now, with some of the other nonprofits that I had talked to since we started this show, they always seem to have problems getting support and donations in the very beginning. Did you have any trouble like that?
Oh, without question. You know, you're new. No one knows you exist. Everybody tells you about all this free money called grants, and, you know, and everything else, and government grants and all this stuff. And you go apply for it. Now, I applied for a lot of stuff, but I also made a lot of phone calls, tried to ask for a lot of advice, not to fall into some of the pitfalls maybe someone else did in the early days. But you kind of get the Dear John letters of, hey, let us know when you have a couple of 990s, which are your tax forms, under your belt. And, you know, we're just celebrating 5 years, and we've gotten 2 partial grants. So we're very, while doing that, plus I was the one doing it all. You know, we just now got a part-time grant writer. So, you know, we do need a couple other people on that team, by the way, to help that person out. But, you know, I believe a lot in grassroots. You know, shaking hands, kissing babies, getting out there. We work a lot of horse shows, gun shows, because, you know, patriots hate guns, and wink, wink. And, you know, so, you know, we get out there and we share our message, because, sure, I can run TV commercials. I manage 13 social media platforms, but when eyeball to eyeball, they can shake your hand and feel the passion of your mission. I think that goes a lot further than a 30-second TV commercial.
Yes. Now, if a veteran is interested in, well, first let's go this way. What services do you offer to veterans?
So we offer what's called equine therapy. And long and short of it, we're going to get you playing with horses. Okay. We're going to put one of these simple things, a groom and brush, in your hand. By the way, you can go to DeckerMFG.com, Decker Manufacturing. They're one of our sponsors, and get these. U.S. Family-owned, veteran-owned company, so support them. And, you know, we get you doing this. We get you grooming a horse. Ask any horse person. You can groom a horse for an hour and feel better than when you started. Okay, there is a special bond between you and God's majestic animal that can literally feel a gnat land on its back and knows everything about you 10 feet away. You know, so when you are afraid of horses are blood pumping mirrors. Okay, they project back to you everything you're feeling. So stress, anxiety, anger, just anxiousness, whatever. And once we get you doing this, 99% of what we do is called groundwork. Okay, because everything you learn on the ground translates to the saddle. We teach a lot of basic horsemanship skills, how to work and build a bond of trust with an animal inherently born not to trust anyone. Now, what does that mean? I'll clarify that. Horses are pack animals and prey animals. Okay, all they can do is bite you or kick you as a defense mechanism. Hurts like hell to us when that happens, but it's not much of a defense mechanism out in the wild.
Yes.
So their fight or flight is flight 99% of the time. So you'll spend your whole life doing that with your own horse. Imagine how much you have to give of yourself to the process with one you just met 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just a skim surface of what we'll do.
All right. Now, when a veteran comes to your organization, what are the requirements for them to get into your program?
They signed on the dotted line and wore the uniform. That's it. You deployed, not deployed, we don't care. Because what I do a lot of teaching and preaching to civilians, because I am one, and explain to them what they have to understand. And I use, everybody in the Marine Corps says everybody's a rifleman, right?
Right.
So I take that analogy and use the joke of the difference between the chicken and the pig. And a lot of people have never heard that. I said the chicken only has to give up the egg. The pig has to give up the bacon. Mm-hmm. And that is our active duty service members right now. You may be a cook, deployed, not deployed, but you may have to throw down your spatula, grab your rifle, and potentially give your last full measure of devotion for your country. We don't talk that way. We don't think that way anymore, but we need to get back to it. So you sign on the dotted line, you sign that blank check, regardless of what your MOS was. That's all you need to come party with us and go play with some horses.
Now, is your program like an hour a day, like on a weekend, or?
Yeah, generally what we'll do when we do our full weekend events, you'll check in on a Friday, 4 or 5 o'clock, almost kind of like you're coming to a hotel, right? You check in the afternoon, you start getting to meet people. We give everybody a little booklet. I was just looking around to see if I had one here, and I don't. You get a little booklet where you have to handwrite names and numbers in, and we tell you to write something down you need to let go of. Okay, you don't know why you're doing that yet, and the reason why we have you write down names and numbers is because when you write with intention, it sticks. It sticks twice as much than, let me just put it in my phone, save, forget it. All right, you got to go back and find it. So burgers, dogs, campfires, just a hoot and good time. Then crack of dawn, Saturday morning, I'm up slinging cowboy breakfast because I don't ask anybody to do something I haven't done 100 times myself. So I'm out, eggs, bacon, sausage, real good, healthy, stick to your bones kind of stuff that we all love. Then we spend the majority of the day, we'll do, depending on how many people we have, we'll split it into 2 groups. Some people might go fishing if we got the ability if we're on a lake and go fishing. And then we got some working with horses. And then after lunch, we generally switch. How long you work with that particular horse, quite honestly, depends on how fast you're willing to give yourself to the process. We had one young man this past year, it took him an hour and a half. And the cool thing is, this is what I love about you veterans. They saw what he needed to accomplish. And 3 people gave up their turn till after lunch to see him get done what he needed to get done. Yes. Took him an hour and a half, but we weren't letting him off the hook easy.
Yeah, you just brought up a good point there about veterans, man. Once we're out, we don't care what branch you were in. We got each other's back. You just proved it right there. And I noticed too, you are getting some good viewers here on LinkedIn. They're putting in on the chat how they're loving this talk so far. So you LinkedIn people watching, thank you for joining us today. And before we go a little further into your organization, JR, I don't know how much of a basketball fan you are, but there's a team up here in Cleveland called the Cleveland Cavaliers. and they won a national championship a while back. And there was a player on the team named J.R. Smith.
I know. I get that joke
I
all
was
the
just
time.
going to ask you if you get that.
I get two jokes, and I know what generation I'm talking to depending on the joke. They ask if I'm a 6'8" black basketball player, or they ask if I know who shot me. Right?
Yeah.
J.R. Ewing.
Yeah.
So, so I know the generation I'm talking to, and I just say, no, white men can't jump. And the other one, I just say, yeah, but, my wife is named Pam. So J.R. married Pamela. And they're like,
right.
Yeah, no, he didn't. Yeah, so I know what generation I'm talking to, depending on which joke it is.
Now, back to talking about the Veterans Ranch here. If a veteran is having trouble connecting with his horse or her horse, what's the process that you go through to ease the tension, so to say?
Sometimes you got to break them away. Like a lot of what we do is called liberty training. Okay, I'll give you a very short example of this. We put a horse in a round pen. There's no lead rope. There's no halters. You can't pull on that horse and make it bend to your will. And, you have a training flag. That's about all you got. We'll put you in the center of the arena. And that's what happened with this individual last year. He wouldn't relax. He thought he was relaxing. And we were every few minutes very subtly and softly reminding him to relax and just shut down. It's okay. Don't think about thinking. Well, if I tell you and everybody here out in the audience to relax about 10 times, we all laughingly know what happens. The exact opposite.
Yes.
Right. And so he was trying to relax and whisper, but his jaw kind of locked up and he went, I am relaxing. And that horse pinned her ears back. Ping, she goes to the other side of the round pen. Well, that's when he was starting to get pissed. Then the horse really wouldn't come to him. Because again, the horse is like, whoa, hey, I don't know what's going on with him now, but I know I don't want to be near it. We finally got him to relax. Because after that point, now he's semi-embarrassed, or whatever, or so we thought. We finally, and it was for everybody who's old enough to remember the Lone Ranger, this was a beautiful white mare that looked like silver. Okay. Gorgeous horse. She starts to come up to him, and by the time this was done, we had this young man walking shoulder to shoulder around the round pen. Again, no lead rope, no halter, just looking like two buddies going to have a beer. Actually got him to stop, turn to go the other way. And I said, now trot. And he goes, what do you mean trot? I'm like, jog. Jog, you city boy. And so we got him to jog a little bit, and the horse took 3 trot steps with him. He's like, well, she didn't do much. I'm like, you have no idea how much she trusted you to take those 3 trotting steps. We worked him back to the center of the arena. Okay. And this is where it gets powerful. Now he understood a little more. We said, now shut down. He goes, I don't totally understand what that means. So we got him to slouch, kick his hip out, put his head down, because he just had a ball cap on. Just act like that horse isn't even in the arena. Well, a horse learns in the release. Okay, when y'all were getting trained in boot camp, and again, everything I talk about, I learned from veterans. So nobody, please misunderstand me. I know I wear cowboy boots. I never wore combat boots. So I take it from a perspective of what I've learned. If you had 4 drill instructors yelling 4 different things at you at one time, you had to learn those things at that time, but you processed it all later. It sunk in and became rote memory later when they weren't yelling at you. Horses are the same way. This young mare finally, after about 5 minutes, just walked up, said, I don't care if it takes 10, 20, 30 minutes. You stand there, you don't move. She come up and put her nose right here in his chest.
Oh, man.
This young man melted like he was 2. And because that's the power of a horse. It knows everything you're feeling. It knows what you got to let go of. You just got to give yourself to it. So it's time, it's patience, just like, you didn't learn everything in boot camp on day 1, took 6-8 weeks, right? And so, same thing, but here you've got to do it even faster, but more relaxed, because speed sometimes brings on anxiety and pressure and whatever. Now you got to do it fast, but you have to do it relaxed at the same time. So when those things occur, like what that young horse did for this young man, I'm telling it is humbling like you wouldn't believe to watch those kind of things. It amazes me every time I see it, and I've been doing it for 5 years, and I've been around horses since I was a kid in Boy Scouts, growing up. So I mean, it still amazes me every single time.
Yeah, that I can actually relate that to when I was advocating for the PAC Act and I did my first press conference. Everybody's, whispering to me, relax, shut down, take a deep breath, relax. And of course, the opposite happened, like you said. And
Sure.
I tensed up and got off point on my speech that I had written and just rambled. And so, yeah, that definitely hit home right there. And now, when a veteran comes to you and saying, "Hey, this might be a program for my family," do you do family sessions as well, or just for veterans?
No, absolutely. Because the whole family serves. Again, this is another big topic that I preach to civilians. Because, we're in a unique generation right now that not everybody, I was raised with a Vietnam father, World War II grandfather who had post-depression grandparents or great grandparents. So our generation, past Gen Xers, unless you were in during Iraq, Afghanistan, or wherever, not everybody's got the depth of veterans in their family the way they once did. So what they have to understand, I preach to them, excuse me, is that the whole family serves. One wears the uniform, maybe two, sometimes both parents are in, but at least one's wearing the uniform and everybody else is worrying about, okay, am I going to have to move again in 2 years? Or they're deployed and I don't know where they're at. Or, that one that left was chief cook and bottle washer, right? Now you've got to be chief cook and bottle washer while they're gone. And then the stresses of when that person comes back, sometimes they just want it the way it was before they left. Well, it can't be because they've been gone 6 months, 2 years, whatever that deployment was. So we deal with team bonding exercises. We'll take a family of 4, put them with a horse because, again, my horse people out there will be going like this. The horse is the one in charge. Okay. Mm-hmm. They just let you think you're in charge, but they're the ones in charge. So we get them together and do team bonding exercises where we're given the orders. They have to work together to accomplish the goals. And a lot of it is getting the horse ready, grooming, learning how to clean hooves, again, basic horsemanship skills, the whole 9 yards, and then eventually getting to lead that horse around an arena. And I've seen miracles occur where whole family units break down in group hugs of tears because, again, those walls start breaking down and things start melting off. And I might be 6'4" and 260, but I'm a big teddy bear. I'm here to tell you, you see breakthroughs like that. It's an emotional thing. It really is. It's as therapeutic for us as it is for the ones we're doing it for. And let me make a very big point here in all of this for all the listeners here. We do this free of charge. Okay, they signed on the dotted line. That's all the payment we need. A veteran and immediate household family does not pay us a dime for what we do.
Oh man, you just took the next question right out of my mouth there.
I kind of thought maybe that's where we were heading, so I couldn't help it. I had to go there.
Now, you stated it's kind of like a hotel at first when we first started talking. So you have accommodations where they stay for the weekend and it's pretty much like a hotel, or?
Well, the one we did last year, for an example, we had a cabin that people could stay in if they wanted to have a cabin, and we said, hey, bring tents because we had plenty of acreage, and some people camped outside. Now the weather, it's Florida, so wait 10 minutes, weather's going to change. Weather got a little nasty on Saturday night into Sunday morning, so we knew that was coming. We had plenty of room. We brought everybody into the cabin. But yeah, it just really depends on where we are. But there's, again, campfires, sleeping under the stars. It's just something special about it. Therapeutic.
Yes. And if a veteran has a hard time not connecting with the horse, but dealing with their own emotions, how are you able to handle a situation like that?
First and foremost, we never push anybody to share or do anything they don't feel comfortable in doing. We're not there to make the situation worse, but we let them know the door is always open, if you will, to share. Because we know, again, we're patriots. It's hard enough for veterans to share with other veterans, much less with, again, somebody who just wore cowboy boots and not combat boots. But that ties into one thing we always do on Saturday night and why we give you the booklet. Again, campfires, and anybody who sat around a campfire will understand this. You'll admit things or tell stories that, some are, I caught the fish and it was this big, and some are the most truest thing you've never told anybody in your life, but you'll share it around a campfire. The point of the booklet and why they have to write down something they're wanting to let go of is so when they write it down, they tear out the page, they stand up, they can share if they want to share, and you throw that page in the fire. And when the words burn and they're gone, you got to let it go. Now, does that happen on the first time every time? Of course not. We're not that naive, but it's the first step in a 1,000-mile journey.
Yes.
This young man that took an hour and a half, he shared. And through his sharing, made 2 other vets there that night share. There were 3 vets and me sitting around the campfire. It's all that wanted to show up, and that's fine. Again, we don't push anybody. He was in the brig for 9 months in the Air Force, accused of something he didn't do. They eventually dropped all the charges. The person that got him in trouble ended up getting arrested because she was base jumping, getting young men drunk and accusing them of sexual assault. And the majority of them didn't do it. And this young man did not. Dealing with the pressures and stressors of his own unit not believing him, his government locking him up for 9 months. He was only 19 years old. And he drove from Jacksonville, Florida to little old Lake Wales, Florida, where we were holding this event. That's a 4-hour drive, folks. So that's a man that was committed. He admitted, he shared all this with us and said, thank you for doing what it is you're doing. I knew I needed to start letting go of this, and something just told me this was the place to let it go. He said, I'm not a crier, but when that horse touched me, something just changed in me, and it just all melted off, and he threw that page in the fire.
Oh, man. All right. Now, I know you're pretty much based in Florida, and then you also do some work in Texas. If, let's say, somebody in Alaska wants to get involved with your organization, are they able to, or is it just people in Florida and people in Texas?
No, there's lots of ways. If you can get to us when we're having our events, we don't have the budget yet to, fly people in from all over the country. We want to eventually, but I tell you one thing that we have done is that, we can't own dirt and horses in all 50 states and cover all the veterans. Right. Okay. You just, the word cheap and horse never go hand in hand. So the budget would blow most people's minds of what we would have to fundraise for. That being said, we created an affiliate ranch program. So let's take an Alaska example. You've got 10, 20 acres, 10, 20 horses. Excuse me. You're not a nonprofit already, and you want to help. You want to give back. You can be a patriot like me. You can be a veteran. You can reach out to us. We can show you how to come under our umbrella and be us in Alaska. So you could be the Veterans Ranch Anchorage, fill in the blank. You get your own fundraising link. You sell our merchandise, our brands, our colors, logos, everything I've put the last 5 years and 80-hour work weeks into accomplishing, you get the benefit of, and we're happy to share it, and it doesn't cost you anything to get it. You just have to be sustainable already, already be feeding your horses and, being able to take care of yourself there, and then start helping veterans in your area, because there are 20 million veterans from Florida to Hawaii. So there's plenty that we need to share.
I just put up your webpage link. So if people are interested in that affiliate program, by all means, folks, reach out, get a hold of them, and I'm sure they'll take very good care of you and help you get started. And we'll show this again here towards the end of the show again. So this way, anybody who wants to get in contact with you will be able to. And I also want to let everybody know who's listening that those of you in LinkedIn, you did find the chat. So if you're on watching on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch, I think it's called Twitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The chat is open. If you have any questions for JR, by all means, put it in the chat and we'll get your question out there. And now back onto the ranch. When you first started this, when you talked this over with your wife and your dad and everything, who made the decision to name it the Veterans Ranch?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that was all of us together. When you look up the corporate name, okay, there's a lot of places where you can look up charities. One is GuideStar.org. They're a nonprofit that rates nonprofits. You know, you have to give them all your information. We have been a platinum member since our founding. You will find us under PJJR Ranch Corp. That's mine and my wife's initials. So PJJR Ranch Corp. But we always called it the Veterans Ranch. And so everybody was trying to figure out what PJJR stood for. And I actually had one person ask me if it meant pager. I'm like, no, but thanks for dating yourself. You know, it's all good. And so we finally just got the DBA filing and officially called it the Veterans Ranch, because that's what it is. You know, it is a place, assumed to be a place, but right now it's a vision of where veterans and their families can come and really start to lay down heavy coats of burden. You know, veterans, men, what do? We compartmentalize, shove it down here, there, everywhere, and pray it never comes back up, right? But we know how life is a lot of times. Those little nuggets come back up and revisit us every now and again. You know, the goals and the missions of when we do get our own piece of dirt here in 2023 is immense. We're going to have transitioning out classes where, you know, because let's face it, when my buddy went into the Marine Corps, he had to pass his ASVAB, he had to sign on the dotted line, maybe a couple other pieces of paperwork. That was it. No job interview, didn't have to fill out a resume, we didn't have the internet in 91, so, you know, there was no LinkedIn or anything else. So we're going to teach you how to, you know, kind of work your way back into society, because your normal became a regimented daily routine for 4 years. You know, it's what my buddy said. I'm like, man, you can go do whatever you want now. He goes, you don't understand. For the last 4 years, I was told when to pee.
That's right.
I don't know what it means to do what I want whenever I want to do it. So we're going to have those classes. We're going to teach you how to be self-employed. If you want to be self-employed through a couple of different programs, how you can immediately go out and start your own business and eat better in doing it. So lots of great things that we're going to be offering down the road here in the near future. And it's all, and when I say all veterans, I don't care if you're still kicking from World War II, Korea, Vietnam. We are not a conflict-specific organization. Okay, I know there's some that are out there, and that's the way. I'm not picking on them. That's the way they chose to do their organization. God bless them. If you wore the uniform and you're still above ground, get in touch with us, and we want to help any way we can.
And you just perfectly transitioned me into my next question. Veterans that are handicapped. Mm-hmm. See, like me, I have to use a walker to get around. Are you able to accommodate those veterans, or?
Yeah, we're getting better at that. When you're using other people's facilities, sometimes that's a challenge. When we get our own piece of dirt, it will no longer be a challenge, because we will have the ramps built necessary. We're going to, again, since a lot of what we do is groundwork, you're not really on the horse, but when you get to that point of being able to get on the horse, we'll actually have ramps and hoists and all kinds of things to transition you from a wheelchair to your horse, or make it easier. If you just can't lift a leg and cowboy up and throw one over, we'll have you on the ramp to where that's a little easier. A lot of things will be growing in that process. Again, as people help us get our own piece of dirt through donations and grants and those kind of things, that's how we make that happen faster.
All right, that'll work. And now, when the outing is Well, actually, let's go back because you had mentioned fishing.
Mhm.
And you said if there is a lake, you split up into two groups. Now, is it catch and release, or is some of the fish dinner for that night?
Nah, that's catch and release, just having fun. Hey, let's face it, 9 times out of 10, the whole fun of fishing is just getting out there, not thinking about anything, going
That's
fishing.
right.
You catch something, it's a bonus. Yeah, I got a lake. I got a lake behind my house, and some days it's like, I know there's some small bass and bluegill and whatnot in there, but sometimes you just need that release to.
Mhm.
Again, it's kind of like working the rhythmic motion of grooming a horse. It's that cast and reel and cast and reel, and just getting your brain off what you're dealing with for a while. And just clearing your head and clearing your thoughts. But no, we have some great meat markets. Harvest Meat Market, we'll give them a great plug here in Lakeland, Polk County, Florida. And they've donated, food, meat. We had pork shoulders, bacon, ham, turkey, hot dogs, and burgers. I mean, we had more food. We ended up giving the rest of the food to a charity house to help give them some meals and things to cook and whatever when we were done. So we've got a lot of great local supporters that help us in that regards.
Oh, that's good. And you just answered my next question, which how do you feed them? And so it sounds like they're very
The answer is well.
Yes.
Yeah, you leave our event hungry, you just didn't eat enough because there's plenty there.
And then you also brought up an excellent point about fishing, because I'm trying to teach my stepson here all about fishing, and I tell him it's not about catching fish; it's about us just getting out here in nature and just chilling.
Yeah, just loving what God gives you. I mean, just the ability to be able to do that is really the blessing in itself.
Yes, and if who reaches out to you most? Is it a family member or is it the veterans themselves?
No, I tell you, it's some days it's 50-50, 60-40. It varies. Where we've gotten some good help from the VA is every time we have an event, I have a couple of great ladies in the Tampa VA Activities Center who get our flyers out to their cohorts in the Orlando VA and the St. Pete VA, and help us, really reach people that way as well. But yeah, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's the vet. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It varies from one day to the next.
Yeah, because some of the other organizations I've had on, one said it's primarily family members that reach out to them, and then another group, it's all veterans. Family members don't reach out; it's all veterans. So, but I'm glad to see it's 50-50 on your part, because it makes me feel good when it's a whole family, not oriented, but the whole family gets involved.
Yeah.
In taking care of the vet. So,
well, again, they all wore a uniform. It's just a different brigade,
That's right, and that's one of the reasons that the PACT Act is. I know we talked a little bit about the PACT Act, but it's so important to get a little bit of information out on every episode about that. It's because it's also designed to help the family members themselves, the spouse and the kids too, so that they're taken care of as well. Now, I know you said you definitely want to expand your organization, and something tells me you're gonna have a lot of success with this. When somebody contacts you wanting to become an affiliate ranch, do you have any prerequisites in order to figure out if they're going to be a good fit for you? Or
yeah, I mean, obviously we want to interview them. And some of the basic questions are, how long have you had your horses? How much land or horses do you have? Where are you located? All things aside, you can't be in the hood. I mean, we got to have you in a good, safe space, for our veterans to be able to come to you and help with those, their issues, right? And we want to see your facilities. This is no different than if you were going to get a Golden Arches franchise or some kind of franchise. They want to know where you want to put it. and they need to approve that. So, we want to know how many horses you got, how long you've been dealing with them. Because again, if your horses are skin and bones and you're just waiting on our, donation link to come in to save your horses, you're not a fit. It's honestly somebody who is patriotic as hell, just like we are, and wants to help, wants to give back, and maybe didn't even realize the power they had with the horses they already got being able to help veterans. So if they've got those key things, I mean, there's a little more to it than that, but that's the basics. Do you love the veterans? Do you want to help? Do you have that giver's gain mentality? Of it's not about, like I always say, it's not about me breaking my shoulder, patting myself on the back. The good Lord just said go, and I'm out here talking about it. That's the reality. So if you have that kind of mentality, reach out to us. And let's talk. Let's start a conversation, because just give you folks out here an example. Okay, Texas has 6 million veterans. Florida has about 1.5 million, and growing in both of those states, because Florida and Texas became the two freedom states everybody wants to move to. I have within 10 counties of where I'm sitting right now north of 513,000 veterans. How many affiliates do you think I could put in those 10 counties and barely scratch the surface of the amount of veterans that would want to take advantage of the program? So don't think maybe because there's one in Cleveland or one in St. Louis that territory's taken. Oh no, we can cover a lot of ground with a lot of affiliates.
There you go. And so let me go ahead and put that back up here. So if you are a veteran or a family member of a veteran and think JR's organization can help you, contact them at theveteransranch.org. Or if you want to be an affiliate ranch, come on, people, help us veterans out. JR is going to be an awesome person to work with. So give them a contact. If you got the ranch and you've been thinking about doing something like this, JR can help you out. So JR, we're getting close to the end of our time here. Is there anything about the ranch that we have not covered yet that you want the people to know about?
Well, we covered how everything's free to veterans. We covered how we want to do this nationwide. And, it's kind of like a church service, folks. They all pass the plate when they're done doing the dance. Mm-hmm. And we're no different. Okay. You see all the major TV commercials every night of major organizations, veteran kids, symbolically adopt an elephant for $11 a month. We do this with proud patrons support, like you guys out there watching this today. We simply ask that when you go to the veteransranch.org, that you click the donate button and you pledge a minimum $15 a month. We understand the last couple of years, nothing's been the same. Bacon, eggs, double gas, double diesel in my neck of the woods just went back up to $4.89 a gallon today, which means I'm going to be back to about $120, $130 filling up my truck. I understand things have been tough for folks the last couple of years, but we're talking 50 cents a day, $180 a year, $15 a month. I think almost everybody coast to coast could swing $15 a month. Help support a great organization that's boots on the ground every day getting stuff done. We're not wearing Rolexes and driving brand new Raptor trucks and, putting it all in our back pockets. Again, horse and cheap never go hand in hand. The property that we are looking at in Florida right now, just to buy the land, build the barn, the stalls, and 2 barns, $1.6 million. That isn't even buying a horse to put in a stall yet. So prices of everything has gone up, and we're asking for your help. So just $15 a month truly can help save lives. And we ask that you just go to that website and please help us be a patron today.
Yes, please help JR out. He is definitely doing some good work there. And JR, don't leave yet, but I am very honored that you came on the show to talk about your ranch today, because I know you are definitely helping a lot of veterans out. Let me put your website back up there again for everybody to see. And matter of fact, we just got a message from Rosie Torres herself, thinking your organization is outstanding, and they're definitely enjoying listening to you talk today. And there was one other thing I wanted to say. Let me bring this up here real quick. Not to take away from JR here, but I know I don't think you know this, but 3 of my comrades in arms, when we were advocating for the PACT Act, and we wrote a book about how we all became friends during our advocating. And so it's out now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So, and the foreword was written by John Stewart, and Rosie Torres of Burn Pits 360 wrote the intro. So just go ahead and check that out. And something tells me us at the book and your ranch is going to do some work together. So I want to thank you again. And if you can stay on as I close the show, and we'll talk for a minute afterwards, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure being here today. Thank you to everybody listening, and thank you for having me on.
All right, folks. All right, my brothers and sisters. This is today's episode. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for giving us the motivation to keep doing this show. Because this show means a lot to me. Because when we were in Washington, D.C. and learning about all these other different organizations I never even heard of, but they're doing some great work, just like JR's Veterans Ranch. That's why we're doing this show, is get this information out to you folks. And once again, thank you for joining us today, and hope you have an awesome rest of your week. And let's see here, on the 19th of January, our guest will be retired Lieutenant General Russell Honore. Not only will we talk about his 3 books, but I had the pleasure of the honor of attending one of his speeches in Cleveland. And the man has a lot to say about how us veterans are being treated, not only by the government, but by the VA. So listen in. He's got a lot of good words for us. And then on the 25th of January, I think it's the 25th, we will have a gentleman from another nonprofit called Creative Vets. JR, this might be an organization you might want to kind of hook up with. They help veterans with PTSD through art and music.
Okay.
Yes. You were talking about campfires. Hey, what else goes good with campfires? Somebody strumming on a guitar.
That's right.
So might be an organization that you might, listen in on the 25th, and maybe we can get you guys working side by side.
Absolutely.
I had the pleasure of meeting some of the people that run Creative Vets. They operate right out of here in Cleveland. Most of it does. And I think it'd be a good organization to hook up with.
Look forward to it.
All right, folks. Thanks again, and we shall see you on the next episode.